Welcome in, everyone. Sorry, it's a bit of a late start. Totally not organised for this live stream whatsoever. Usually I organise myself before I go to bed and I schedule it beforehand. It didn't happen. The last video that I put out, I spent many hours lining up the audio with the visuals, and somehow when I went to create another slide, after doing the slide and saving it, I went out and I deleted the video and had to start again. So by the time I'd actually finished doing that video, I just didn't do any preparation. So it's Sunday here, so, you know, let's just let the squirrels loose. That said, I probably shouldn't have put that in the title because things just went crazy here on my computer end. So welcome in, everyone. Welcome in, Bonza, TJ's mum, Deborah, Shenanigans. I'm just scrolling through to see who else is in here. So if you're in here for a normal structured Lily and Jack discussion, it's probably not going to happen because basically I'm just going to let everything go where it goes today. If it goes off topic, it goes off topic. Welcome in, Sheila. Oh, and I need to put the comments on stage. Let's go tall. Done. Okay, so I think that's everything I need to remember for getting organised. Sheila, if you are wanting to, and Rita, you're both in the vertical, but if you wanted to come over to the horizontal, you are more than welcome. I haven't even gotten around to putting a link in the vertical for people. I'm going to start with this first.
Everybody loves Neil, the seal. Everybody loves Neil, the seal. I called my boss and mate, this is real. I'm blocked in the driveway by Neil, the seal. 1,000 kilos, having a snooze, knocking down signs like he's been on the booze, treating Tassie suburbs like they're his own, making love to traffic cones. Neighbors cheer like he's kicked the winning goal. Onion Neil as another ballad rolls. He's got 1.4 million TikTok fans. Everybody loves Neil on the sand. Traffic cones are basically his Tinder. Every fence gets swiped right each winter. He's Australia's biggest viral deal. Everybody loves Neil the seal. Everybody loves Neil the seal. The young seals wrestle mates all day. Neil's got fences standing in the way. His friends live thousands of kilometers south, so he flops on anything like it's his couch. Every pole in Tassie's got a restraining order. The council says Neil back to the water. Telephone box, yeah, that'll do. Poor bloke just wants to call a crew. He doesn't want the fame or flashing lights. He just wants seal mates by his side at night. But instead he's trending everywhere. Hobart's biggest superstar without a care. He's got better approval ratings than the PM. Hobart's unofficial mayor, everyone backs him. My toxic trait, if he knocked on my fly screen door, I'd unlock it before he hit the floor. If perimenopause was an animal, it'd probably be him. A beautiful blubbery disaster potato with a grin. He needs his own TV show. Netflix, come on, give Neil a go. He's got 1.4 million TikTok fans. Everybody loves Neil on the sand. Traffic cones are basically his Tinder. loves Neil the Seal. Neil, Neil, Neil. Everybody loves Neil the Seal. Neil, Neil, Neil. Mayor of Hobart, what a legend. Neil, Neil, Neil. King of the coast, prince of the poles. Everybody loves Neil the Seal.
Good to see a few more people coming in, so welcome in, people. I'm not even going to try now. I've lost track of who I've said hello to. There's a part of me that feels a little bit guilty about those videos because my brother's a professional musician. Like, he's been doing gigs and all sorts of, band stuff for like his whole life. And I realize that, when you're putting out this AI created music, that it is kind of impacting on the real people. But at the same time, I kind of like goofing off a bit. So, when something like that comes along, I just jump on it. That said, I do, the only reason I do those kind of videos is just to goof off. So I just find it kind of amusing that the TikTok version of that I put up has kind of gone viral. Most people probably wouldn't call it viral, but for me, 18,000 views is kind of viral. Especially for something that was only meant as, me just kicking off a bit of steam and just relaxing a bit, just taking a break from the other stuff. So anyway, a few more people coming in. Welcome in, Baby Monkey. I know I've missed some people. Tiffany, I don't think I got a chance to say hello to you. Hugging Demons. So it does. And here's the thing. Like I said, my brother's a musician and he puts a lot of work into his music. When him and his whatever band he's working with are recording, there's a lot of hours going into actually creating a recording. There's a lot of hard work goes into it if you're an actual real musician. And a friend of mine that I've known for probably over 20 years, she's a really well-known, well-published Australian author. Like I knew her when her first book was being published before she was anybody knew. And the AI stuff has been really frustrating for her because she was looking at various, like she does occasional checks for plagiarism on her work. And she looked up one of her books, and this is a book that's been out for 20-something years. And there was essentially an AI version of her book. The language was crap. It wasn't grammatically correct. But basically it had taken her book that had spent, something that she'd spent months and months and months on, something that she had worked really hard to get published, because it's when it's your first book, you're not known, so you've got to go around all the publishers and everything. And it had taken her book and created an AI copy of her book. And that's happening to a lot of real authors, and it's impacting musicians. So it does cheapen the craft. And I'm always conscious of that when I do these things. Like, especially because, I'm close to people who are in like the music industry, people who are in the fiction industry, you know, I will never read any sort of AI created fiction. I'll say that, because I know how many hours and hours and months go into creating any sort of fiction. But I do quite often question the whole thing of, you know, creating these songs really easily. But that said, AI songs don't quite hit as, they're not as good as ones that have actually been properly created, put together by a band. You know, they're good for a bit of a laugh, but let's hope it doesn't come to the point where radio stations are suddenly playing all this AI created stuff, or you know, record labels are suddenly putting out AI created stuff. Thankfully, our government looks like they're going to be putting things in place to protect creative people in Australia. Don't know what that'll look like, but definitely it's time for that to happen. I mean, when you hear about people who are losing jobs because their jobs become an AI thing. Welcome in, Unky. Wow. Yeah, I won't listen to AI audiobooks. I don't even like watching anything on YouTube that's got AI audio. If I can't tell that there's a real person behind what I'm listening to, then I don't listen. Now, that's not me saying, oh, well, everyone should have their face on camera, because that would be hypocritical. But the stuff that is so obviously fake, you know, there's no rhythm or just nothing real about it. And it's become such a thing. I mean, you look at how many videos came out when Lily and Jack's case first started. All this AI crap. And I don't know where it was coming from. I wouldn't be surprised if it's, you know, someone like Joseph Morris, who got well and truly stung after the BS that he did with the Idaho case. And he's probably, like, you know, hiding behind an AI channel now for the rest of his crap. Because clearly it was someone who was following the case to some extent. But the AI stuff that was coming out was just like putting out all this false information that's still circulating. Yeah, I really despise AI on YouTube as well. There should be stricter regulations. If it's one of the cases that I've covered and I click on something and I realize it's AI, then I click straight off. And if it looks like it's really bad, crappy AI, then I report it as AI, because I think there's no place for that. And when it is AI generated, then 99% of the time, any sort of information that's coming from it is basically from AI generated script. And we've all seen how that works. I mean, I've got a few idiot content creators on this platform who search for things and then run with AI generated information that's not even close to the truth, or AI generated images that are not even close to the real thing, and people buy it. Anyway, that's my rant on AI. Oh yeah. AI-generated captions do suck. I had to laugh. I've just finished putting out all those Mackenzie Sharilla phone calls. So there's all up, there is 97 phone calls. And I did them in blocks of 5. So in terms of the closed captions, I didn't really read through them. I just kind of made sure that I blocked them so they didn't run off the screen. And when I started going back through them, all the times when Mackenzie and her mother are speaking that Carney speak, it just puts all this weird ass gibberish up for like captions, which is just ridiculous. Yeah, I'm really very much against AI videos. I've just seen hang on. Okay, I struggle with AI videos. I'm against them. However, when I was following Jay Slade case, there was an AI channel I followed. I know who was behind it. AI was used for privacy. It was truthful. Yeah, that's the difference. And I know there are people that do that. I think we really need some serious regulation. I think platforms need to be stricter on AI that's being put out there, for starters. Because how often do you click on a video and there's no warning and you find out that it's AI? Like, when we upload videos, one of the boxes we're meant to tick is whether or not the content is AI generated. And there's not like me doing AI cartoony images of Neil, not that sort of thing, but like those AI photos that have popped up of Lily and Jack, where clearly someone's taken a photo that exists and edited it using AI and then putting it out as something to discredit Malaya or whatever. People are not ticking that they're doing that, and there's nothing in place with YouTube to follow up on anything like that. But if you click on something and it's full of AI, you should be able to see that before you click on it. There should be like an AI warning in the title or an AI sticker on the thumbnail or something that YouTube puts on there so that we have that choice. Especially, when it comes to things like cases, because it's getting worse and worse. Like, there were some things came out with Maddie's case, not so much, just a handful of things. But if you go back to when this case first came out, when Lily and Jack first went missing, you could go onto YouTube and there would be dozens of AI-created videos pop up. It was like whack-a-mole. You'd get rid of one and there'd be half a dozen more come up. And it really does... It must be a nightmare for detectives to have people watching these AI videos and then reporting stuff. And I was reading an article somewhere in terms of, and this is just bad and lazy, lawyers who've been doing searches for like case precedent stuff and getting AI generated cases as precedents that they then take into court and then they get their asses whopped because they've basically come up with a fake case. There's been a lot of warnings going around in Australia lately, like, you know, basically don't rely on AI generated case law because it's not real, which is a joke. There's a few different ways. So in terms of AI generated songs, you can come up with the lyrics yourself. You can sit down and work out the lyrics yourself, or you can just put in all the ideas that you want to cover. If you put in all the ideas that you want to cover, you put them in and you tell it to, like, you know, fix it up essentially. And then it turns it into something in the right format for a song. Or you can just put in, I want to do a song about this, and it just randomly comes up with a song, in which case the lyrics probably aren't even going to be anywhere near. So with some of the ones that I've done, like the Daniel ones, I put in, basically typed in a line of each of the things that I wanted to use. And then I also used a few quotes here and there, basically telling it, this is something I definitely want in there. And, you know, you can set it and say, this is what I want the chorus to be. So there's different ways of doing it. It would take me forever to come up with one that was really well written. So a lot of the time I just put in all the ideas that I want and then let it generate it for me, which is lazy, you know. Welcome in, little black pair. So, I mean, I have to admit, as someone who enjoys getting creative, as someone who enjoys just bludging off a bit and making videos that are like, you know, just those kind of music video ones, I like the AI stuff, but I'm just so conscious of the negative side of it as well. And I think, you know, we all need to kind of think about ethics when it comes to AI, because it seems there's a lot of people out there that just don't, which is, you know, a little bit disturbing. But anyway, so what I was going to do, just kind of, like I said, randomly, if we go off topic, we go off topic. But because this is a completely unplanned one, a completely squirrely one, I've actually brought up my video that I did of Daniel's early interviews back to back. And I just thought I'd whack them up and we can just have conversations about that along the way. If we go off topic, we go off topic, because, you know, that's what this one is all about. Now, these ones are, I actually put them in order in terms of they're topic related, because what it does is it shows us some of the interviews back to back, which shows us how scripted they are in some cases, and also sometimes some of the inconsistencies. But it also shows us that even back then, he was doing his best to discredit Malaya. I think they brought it back on Thursday from town. Oh, plates on Wednesday. Now that's interesting. I'd really like to know if there were plates on the front of it. Because here in Australia, if you had to get new plates for your car, so like, if you move interstate and you take your old plates in because you need to get, well, there were no plates on the back of that car. So he parked it at the marsh because there were no plates on it, basically. Isn't it strict? Like, here in Australia, if you went down the road with no plates on, you'd be pulled over and you'd be booked. See, we don't even get temporary permits. Here with cars, when a car yard first gets like brand new cars, as soon as they do the registration for that vehicle, the plates have got to go on. A lot of car yards will hold off, and you'll see car yards with brand new cars that have got like dealer plates on them. So like car yards who get in brand new cars will have a bunch of dealer plates that are plates that they can switch from one car to the next. And then when they get a sale, they do the registration on the car so that they don't waste money getting registration and it sits there for 6 months. But I never thought about borrowing plates from dealerships. But here, there's no way you'd get away with going out on the road without plates on your car. Like, if you change your plates, because when I moved to Victoria, when my car registration was due, I had to go into Vic Roads and I had to change the registration to Victorian plates. And I just took a screwdriver with me, took the old plates off, handed them over, got the new plates, went out, put them back on the car, drove out of the car park. Yeah. I find it amazing that she got a car and the dealer didn't put plates on it. Like, is that normal? Because here in Australia, when you buy a car, the plates are there, they're dealt with. Mechanics and dealerships have authorised plates you can use while you move your car. I wonder if that's in every state. Because it used to be that you could get a permit if you had to take a vehicle over the pits to get it approved for registration. So if you had an old vehicle that you'd restored that hadn't been registered and you needed to get it checked out by transport, then you would get a permit and you could drive it from like your residence to transport only. Yukon Territory plate only in the front of a car or truck. So in Canada, if you transfer ownership of a vehicle, does that mean you have to get new plates? Because here, the only time you get new plates is if you basically register it in a different state. So like me moving interstate, as soon as the rego was due, then I had to get Victorian plates on my vehicle. You can transport for old plated. As in, so when Malaya bought that vehicle, the plates that would have been on it before, do they just get like, do they get taken off when the vehicle is transferred and then the new owner has to get new plates? Yeah. My first car, when I wrote it off, I should have taken the plates back and got rego on it, but I end up just keeping the plates because, you know, sentimental. And here you're supposed to. I think it's actually an offence not to take your plates back if a vehicle is no longer registered. Welcome in, Mike. So in Australia, it's got to be plates front and back, and you can actually get fines for not having, like, even if you've got a plate on the front, you can get fined if you don't have one on the back. And there's a good chance that you'll get pulled over. Some dealerships fill out forms, as in, what, so you drive around with just paperwork until you get your plates? This is just so mind-blowing for me. Coming from somewhere where if you were driving down the road with no plates on your car, you could almost guarantee you'd be pulled over and booked. British Columbia, you have it on both. And a yellow permit on the window. So most police cars these days have plate readers. They sign for the plated. This is really baffling for me. Yes. The number of people who, when they're about to hit the highway, pull down their P plates or their L plates, hoping that they won't get caught. Although I think in New South Wales, isn't the speed limit the same for P plates and L plates? Like, I know in Tassie it used to be like a maximum speed limit of 80 kilometres an hour for someone on their Ps or their Ls. So if you're on the Midlands Highway and you stuck behind a P-plater who was actually following the law, it was really, really annoying. But I don't think that's in every state. I think some states, I think here in Victoria, there's no difference in the speed limit with P-platers and like fully licensed drivers. So in New South Wales, learners can only go 80 or 90, but P-plates can go at the regular speed. I think that's the same here. Oh, a P-plate and an L-plate. L-plate is your learner's license. So when you're learning to drive here in Australia, you have to have an L-plate on your car. And it's just a sticky thing that goes on the front and back windows that just basically warns people that you're a learner. And I think there's all these things now. I would have taken me forever to get my L's now, because you've got to get so many hours worth of driving up before you can then go for your P's. So as a learner driver, you have to have your display, your L plates up on your window, and you cannot drive without a fully licensed driver in the vehicle. Then P-plate drivers, basically that's when you do your test. You go do your driving test and they give you P-plates, which P is like provisional, so that goes up on your windscreen as well. I think now it's usually 3 years. And I think they call them now P1, P2, P3 or something. I love the idea of the different coloured plates. I'd never seen that before. Yeah, I was lucky. Well, actually, I wasn't so lucky. I got my P's late. They were just changing it to a 3-year thing when I got my P plates. So I was already 18 by the time I got my license, whereas a lot of my friends had jumped and got their license as soon as they turned 17. So here in Australia, you've got to be 17 to get your P plates. And a lot of my friends, like as soon as they turned 17, were getting their P plates. The day they turned 17, they were going and doing their test. And it used to be that you only had your Ps for 1 year. And it was around the time that they switched it to 3 years. A lot of my friends got their plates for 1 year. And like I said, I was a bit late getting it because I had to basically save up and pay for my own driving lessons. So I was on the 3-year thing. Actually, I'm trying to remember if all I can remember. Oh, that's right, because you only had to wear your plates for 1 year back then. I don't know what the deal is now. It used to be that you had to display your P plates for 1 year. And then the 2 years after that, you didn't have to display them, but you were still provisional. I lost my license for speeding 1 month short of fully getting onto a full license. Because, ADHD, you speed. And I was a major, major lead foot. So I lost my license for 3 months for speeding. And it was a month short of me getting off my P plates. And I had to go back on my P plates for another 3 years. So I was on P plates for 6 years, pretty much. Yeah, Daniel, that was one of his new cars, wasn't it, that he got? He got a new car and it got towed, and he said it was because it wasn't registered. I wish I had. And that's the irony, because had I gotten in early enough and got my Ps for 1 year, then I would have had full points, full demerit points, and I wouldn't have lost my license, because P-platers only get 4 demerit points. And if you're a lead foot like I was, it doesn't take much to get demerit points for speeding. Oh, that's really cool. You have a Mi'kmaq plate on your vehicle, a special plate, but out of the Nova Scotia government that say Land of the Mi'kmaq on it, where it usually says Nova Scotia. That's really cool. We occasionally have special plates here that you can get that, might be like, Bendigo Goldfields region, instead of just saying, Victoria, education state, or whatever they say. But I like that idea. So That's a good point, though. So that vehicle, if Nova Scotia vehicles are meant to have plates on the back, that vehicle didn't have a plate on the back. So what vehicle did they take in on the Thursday? If she got her plates on the Wednesday, then did they just drive the car into town with no plates on the Thursday as well? Is that something you can get away with in Nova Scotia? I mean, would you just like put the plates on the dash? Yeah. Scary thought. I mean, when you look at all the accidents he's had, and he was driving an unregistered vehicle. Yeah, you're probably right. They probably just took it with no plates. Daniel probably didn't care. Oh, so you're not going to get away. Oh, whoops. You're not going to get away with it in Nova Scotia. Wow. Just put any plate and drive like an old lady. When I was about 18 and I got my first job, before I worked at a different place, there's a place that I used to deliver to, and because it was kind of like a slip road where you wouldn't see it, I don't think people would have even noticed. But there was a guy who had 2 Leyland P76 cars, you know, those real old clunkers, and they were identical cars, and he had identical plates on them. So he was basically cheating registration. I don't know why you'd want 2 identical cars with identical plates, but basically he only had 1 vehicle registered, but he had 2 vehicles with identical plates on them. Unless maybe his wife drove one and he drove the other. But things people do. Yeah. That was me, although not quite that much, but the colours were the same. This vehicle was identical in every way. I'm guessing he must have got the plates, got in and gone, I've lost a plate, it's fallen off, and got another plate or something. Nearly 1 in 10 drivers stopped by Nova Scotia RCMP during Canada Road Safety Week, May 2026. Enforcement efforts were charged with an offence as officers observed unsafe driving behaviours. I think here in Australia we're getting better because nobody can afford the fines. All the fines for anything, any sort of offence, are whopping here in Australia. Nice one, little black bear. The old man. I'll put it up. I don't think I can get in trouble for putting that one up. You heard about the old man that got pulled over by police who was arguing with officer. The officer said to the wife, "He always argue like this?" And she said, "No, only when he's drunk." Yeah, they would have 2 different VIN numbers. But I guess at the end of the day, how often do they check when they pull you over? It's a interesting scam, that's for sure. It amazes me. I mean, these days that would be such a rort given the cost of registration. But yeah. We have the same problem in Australia. There's not enough education with ATVs. There's not enough regulations. And I think on, like, you know, private properties, people just kind of, they don't actually think about the safety side of it. They just, you know, hoon around without considering safety. So unsigned ownership is a ticket too. So if you've got a car and you haven't done the ownership papers, you don't have them with you, you're going to get a ticket. I think here you've got, I think it's about 30 days to file the paperwork when you do a transfer. So I don't think you tend to. Weren't strikes banned a few decades back because they were unsafe? Strikes. I don't know what a strike is. Oh, trikes. I don't know. I haven't seen any on the roads in years. Okay, so you have to carry You have to carry papers with you. You have to have plates, but only on the back. Yeah, trucks can be quite dangerous. Scooters are pretty dangerous too. And they're becoming very popular now. It's interesting though but it explains now why the vehicle we've parked over on the marsh, they were banned, trikes were banned in Ontario, yep. Because if you haven't bothered to put the plates on the vehicle, I don't do bikes. My brother has a Harley. My brother has had bikes pretty much, since he was in his 20s. And the number of times he's been like, well, just come for a ride around the block. You'll love it. I will not get on a bike. I will not get on a trike. Yeah, those sort of things scare me. I'll stick to cars. Although that said, my first car was a Mini, and I look at them now and think I would be terrified driving around in one of them these days because you'd feel so small. You'd be worried about being squashed by someone. Okay, so you need license, insurance, and plates. Here in Australia, part of the registration for a vehicle is MAIB, which is kind of like an insurance thing. I think we have to have third-party insurance on our vehicles, meaning that if we get in an accident, we're supposed to at least be insured for the damage we do to another vehicle. But a lot of people in Australia don't have full insurance because of the cost, which means that, you know, if you stack your car and it's not fully insured, you lost your car. Oops. Yeah, he has had it easy. Well, do we even know if he's got a license? Because it doesn't sound like he does by the sounds of it. He should have lost it for not paying child support, but he never had to pay. So he never paid child support for his children? Wow. I feel sorry for his ex-wife. Because he was working full-time for a while there at the mill. So he should have been paying child support. Hello? Apparently Amira's decided it's warm enough to come and join us here rather than sleeping the whole way. So in Nova Scotia, in terms of child support, do you have to actually go to court to get it? Because here in Australia, isn't it just kind of automatic? I think you go through Centrelink, and I'm not sure because it's not a situation that I've been in. She should have taken him to court for it, and she still could. If this was Australia, she could do it and she could get back paid. I hadn't heard that he paid child support up front and gave her thousands. Oh, he stated it, did he? How much do we believe from Daniel, though? That's the tricky thing. It was actually said that he was getting a lift. It was in the, I think it was a Globe and, no. Yeah, I think it was a Globe and Mail article. And they said that he was getting a lift to the mill with his Uncle Ron. You don't have to go to court. If the guy just pays it, you probably wouldn't bother. If you refuse, you'd go to court. I think it's right. So when Daniel's ex-wife sold the family house, she got the proceeds due to back child support. That said, when you're starting out and you got a mortgage, doesn't necessarily mean that's a lot of money, does it? It depends on the market and everything like that. Trying to make himself sound like a tycoon. He said he paid her thousands in advance. In other words, he really didn't pay her a cent because she got the money from the sale of the house. And as for he owns real estate, he has a share of that little block of land of Jamie's that sits between Ron and Earl's property. as does Justin. That makes him a real estate tycoon, doesn't it? I would imagine that little block of land is really not worth a lot. It's what, less than 7 acres? Daniel owns real estate, swampland in from Florida. Yeah. Oh, far out. I can't remember where Daniel said all these things. Earl had to co-sign for Daniel and his ex-wife's mortgage, or yeah, how funny is that? Getting his life together and doing some investing. Yeah, well, good for him. Good for him. Investing in what? Is he buying some shiny Pokemon cards? Yeah. So that must be why Earl co-signed. In retrospect, it would have been much better for his wife to have had someone from her family co-sign. It does sound like he was couch surfing when he met Malaya. I'm going to guess that he love bombed her like mad, because that's usually how these coercive relationships start. And he probably found ways of manipulating her to make her think that he needed to move in because it was going to benefit her if he moved in really quickly in that 2 weeks, in my opinion. I mean, just going from what I know about coercive relationships. Yep, so Earl co-signed for Daniel and his ex-wife. Cool. Yeah, he got a shiny Pokemon card and sold it. Yeah, the poor Daniel driving back and forth from Paddy's to the mill was just too much. Probably because he didn't have a license. It was, sheer manipulation. Unfortunately, when you get in, I've seen this with friends in the past. You get into a relationship and common sense goes out the window. So if some guy's love bombing you and he's like, oh, I can't see you because it's too much driving back and forth, then, yeah, you're going to be like, well, come and stay here. You can stay overnight. Yeah, he was. I thought I'd heard that he was couch surfing. So clearly, after his marriage fell apart, he was couch surfing. Malaya came along. He thought he was on a good wicket. Welcome in, Grover. Oh, no. That's not good. That's really not good. I hope it's not too hot there. Having half your house with no electricity, that would not be fun. I mean, right now, I turned the heating back up at about 6 o'clock when I got up, and the house still hasn't warmed up. Oh, he would have been overstaying his welcome. I could imagine Daniel couch surfing and people just being like, he's never going to leave. Thank heavens you've got someone coming on a Sunday. I hate to think what the cost would be, but that's frightening. Unless he was, providing rugs for them, sharing his stash. Yeah. I like that. Visitors are like fish in the fridge. 3 days, then toss them out. Yep. I agree. I love my space. I'd feel really, really cramped if I had someone staying here for any more than about 3 days, which is ironic because there's more than enough room here. It's just that, I'm your typical ADHD. I need my alone time to kind of regenerate. Yeah, probably that too. But I doubt, until he moved back to Gerlock Road, I doubt very much that he would have actually had his kids come and stay with him. Because if he was couch surfing, then it's not exactly a stable situation for your kids to come and visit. And I would imagine that when they were at Paddy's, a similar situation, like staying at the grandmother's house of your new girlfriend, for starters, I would be surprised if his ex-wife would have been overly keen on that. So I do wonder if, in terms of access to his kids, that those weekend visits only started after he moved to Gerlock Road. Oh, he totally is a manipulator and an opportunist. I mean, that takes skill to be able to move in with someone after only 2 weeks. Yeah. I think for Janie, the unborn grandchild was the bargaining chip. He probably sold it in terms of that they were both going to have to move out of Paddy's. But I couldn't imagine Paddy ever making Malaya homeless, especially not when she's pregnant. But I could imagine that the bargaining chip with Janie was, well, she's pregnant, we've got nowhere to go. Manipulated his way in and stayed there. Well, that's another one. Because you can tell that Janie actually really does love her real grandchildren. And it sounds like she would do pretty much anything for her real grandchildren. So I would imagine the appeal of, if we can move in here, then this gives me a stable place where I can have the children come every other weekend. It's a really, really good point. Yeah. They won't. Oh, no, that's a good point. But you've also got Justin's kids. But we've seen photos, or Earl has shown photos where there's been like Lily and Jack and I think Daniel's 2 other kids at his place. I suspect that Earl is possibly less tolerant of Daniel's crap. I could be wrong, but I could imagine that Earl probably wouldn't want Daniel staying at his place and wouldn't tolerate any crap from him. Not that we know much about Earl, but certainly has been suggestions out there that Earl isn't necessarily a huge fan of his son. And, you know, yeah, there's lots of kids' toys and stuff at Earl's. And I think, you know, probably he probably still has Justin's kids go there, I guess. And sounds like Daniel's kids were going there. And it does sound like maybe when Daniel's kids were going there, Lily and Jack were going there with him. But when you look at some of his messages as well, he wasn't being invited to any parties or anything for Lily and Jack. Now, I've seen photos that Earl posted at his place with the kids in it playing with the toys. So there must be toys there for his kids. I have no idea. I've never kind of really worried about it. Especially not now. Now that we've got that scamneter trolling the internet for new stories to come up with, I'm so cautious about even discussing Daniel's kids. Because you know what she's like. If she got even a nugget of information about any of those kids, she'd run with it and make up a new story. But yeah, I don't know how many kids Justin's got, but I think there's more than one. But yeah. I am going to put up some of these early Daniel interviews. Like I said, I'm happy to just stop it along the way and just talk about whatever, because there's some interesting things coming up. Janie really dotes on Daniel and Justin. There's a real loyalty there. You can tell the way she talks. So I think you're right. I think probably both Daniel and Justin probably got away with a lot. I wouldn't be surprised if Justin is Janie's baby boy, because it sounds like he's not as much trouble as Daniel. Yeah, Bonza, exactly. I think, well, we've seen Janie would do anything for her boys. When I look at when she's come out and said stuff, what I see there is someone who does have that whole dilemma of she's going to protect Daniel no matter what. But I think on another level, there's the side of her that knows that what he did was wrong and that she shouldn't be, you know, she should be speaking up. I think that's why we get so much leakage. Oh, yeah. She would totally send him root beer barrels and coffee packets and buy him special meals and buy hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars worth of books on Amazon. Janie and Deb Stearns should actually have a conversation. Actually, that's a scary thought. Oh, that's the stuff of nightmares, actually. And Janie McKenzie, sorry. and Deb Stearns in the same room as each other. That's beyond frightening. But you know what? Natalie Sharilla seems to be just as bad with all the crap that she's buying her daughter. And Cindy Watts, is she buying a whole heap of crap for Chris as well? I haven't kept up with yeah, there's a few of them out there. That's like the guy that did the Port Arthur shootings here in Australia. And I'm not going to say his name. I will not ever say his name. But his mother, totally nutcase anyway. And this is from personal experience, because we knew the whole family. His sister was the only normal person in the family, and she used to come for organ lessons after school when I was a little kid. And her mum would pick her up, and I would always make sure I was out in the backyard playing when her mum picked her up, because I was scared of her mother because she was a Fruit Loop. And this woman still maintains that her son is innocent and didn't go and do that mass shooting. Yeah. Oh, that's like Deb Stearns. I haven't been following what their latest push is, but Deb Stearns was always pushing it that Jen Soto was the one that was responsible for what happened to Maddie. And there's one jail phone call where she's saying to Stefan, you know, why are you taking the fall for her, essentially? Yeah, Bonza, even after what he did, but the woman was a nutcase. They lived next to my grandmother, and the father was normal. His sister was normal. The mother is the reason he turned out like he was. Complete. Oh, wow. Oh, that is so good. I guess it would have been hard for them in terms of, because they knew Maddie. And they'd had Maddie in their house. So to actually accept that Stefan was responsible, that is so good to hear. That must have taken a lot of pain and a lot of soul searching. But it's such a relief, because it just seemed like they were so supportive of him, head in the sand. And just that whole, I hate to think how much money they were sinking into his commissary every week. I mean, even just the books. You know, him going, well, I've got these books now, can you get me these books? And I can remember Paula going through the list of books. The first time Paula went through a list of books that Deb had bought Stefan, I was mind blown. It was like, you know, she wasn't working. Chris was at an age where he should be moving into retirement. And all I could see was them pouring money into this loser in jail, and Chris never being able to retire. Oh, well, that's really good to know. He would have bled them dry. he would have thoroughly bled them dry. I mean, I think the Shirilla family are at the beginning of that journey. I mean, they're still bending over backwards trying to get Mackenzie out. I saw something the other day where they've started a petition now to try and get Mackenzie out. I hate to think the sort of money they are pouring into that. Oh, heck yeah. He had to have been breaking the bank. When you look at all the money, and what was it? There was one thing that he said he needed. It might have been like reading glasses or something. And he was like, oh no, but I'm not going to get them because they're too expensive. So they put extra money in his commissary for those reading glasses. And he spent it on more treats. So he didn't even buy them. Yeah, he wanted them to set up a trust fund. Isn't that insane? I hope that in their wills that they leave everything to his brother. Because honestly, the amount of money that they've given him through all the stuff, I mean, Ruby Barrels alone was, yeah. It's just insane. Just insane. So it's good to know. It's really good to know that they've finally seen the light. I bet Stefan's having a major Suki Lala over that. Is it too early for an inquest in terms of Gus Lamont? I think if we started one now, it probably would fall flat. But definitely down the track, I think there needs to be one. And I'm 100% behind when it comes to Lily and Jack. If we reach a point where arrests have been made and none of the information comes out with CPS, I will be front and centre with asking for some sort of inquest or investigation into the failures that led to Lily and Jack going missing. Oh, there's updates that I've missed, are there? Info's come back from vehicles and tech, nothing found. Wow. I wish they could figure out what happened. It's one of those cases where it really feels like we might never know what happened to little Gus. And that's a heartbreaking thought. No, I would love places here to be open till 10. You thought Dollar Tree was open until 10. Accidentally looked at the wrong location, so we only had 2 minutes to shop. Oops. I think around here in winter, Target and Big W are open till 8 o'clock. But nothing's open really much after that. I think the situation we're looking at here is that those sort of charges I think they would throw them at them if they didn't have a solid enough case to prosecute. So I think the fact that we are not seeing any other charges coming down in relation to the neglect and stuff like that, I think, to me, that does say that they have got a solid case that they are working on, and they are taking their time and making sure that they are building the strongest case they can get. Because other cases where you see these charges coming through first, like directly related to the case, usually that happens because they haven't got enough for the big whammy, like Harmony Montgomery. I could be wrong, but I'm just hoping that that's the situation, because there's certainly things that they could be charged with. I'm staying miles away from that case. That's such a disturbing case. I can't even consider looking at that case. I've only had bare minimum details, but it just, yeah, horrible case. I kind of just don't want to know the rest of the details, I think. Oh, me too. Problem is, some of the recent actions from, if it's hypothetically the person that we believe it is, then some of the recent actions from that side, like the fake cease and desists, could be something that could be used to question credibility. I mean, hopefully they would have to have a ton of evidence. But the other side of it too is that as soon as all the CPS stuff started, Daniel started pushing his narrative against Malaya. In the last couple of months she started getting violent, all that sort of things. So hopefully they've just got enough evidence that none of that stuff will matter. Well, thankfully we don't have root beer barrels in Australia, because I would never eat one. I just hear someone talk about root beer barrels and I'm like immediately triggered. The guy, him and his coffee and his root beer barrels, and oh my gosh, and his books. I hope he's really suffering now. How do we get Jen Soto arrested? Because she should be arrested. There is clear statute there in terms of neglect. In fact, I believe it is considered aggravated child abuse, because she basically sent her daughter upstairs with a grown-ass man. You cannot interpret that any other way. Root beer barrels are some sort of candy. I'm kind of, now people can correct me if I'm wrong because we don't have them in Australia, but I was kind of thinking something along the lines of some sort of hard candy. That's just my presumption. I'd be happy to send him a bunch of real root beer barrels. But no, apparently they're candy. Welcome in, BTTV. Good to see you here. Yeah. Exactly. It seems like it's been, I mean, for all we know, there could have been some sort of deal done behind doors, which sucks because they had so much evidence on Stearns that they did not need. Oh. Soft gum candy in the shape of a barrel that tastes like root beer. I've never actually looked them up because I never want to try them because I'd probably choke on them. I'd think of Stephen Stearns and I would choke on them. He is, Ariel. I might not be allowed to put that up, but I agree with you totally. I mean, I love sour cola bottles. We have them in Australia in regular cola bottles, but well, that's what I wonder because the interview that she did, that was a conditional one, and they were really careful in that interview to steer clear of anything that they could have actually used against her to press charges. And when I watched that interview, I actually came away from it convinced that they were going to press charges once his trial was over. Because they were so careful. There were a few times when Will J actually changed the topic, basically, moved away from something to avoid going down the track of something that would have incriminated Jen. And there were also a few really crucial things that weren't brought up in that interview that would have incriminated Jen. So all I can think of is that there was some sort of discussions behind the scenes. They really did, didn't they? They made it very, very, they spelled it out very clearly at the start. I think they were so careful in that interview that it had me convinced that they were basically, my belief, and I wish it was the case, my belief was that they didn't want a hostile witness going into court. Because had they pushed charges against Jen before Stearns went to trial and they wanted to use her as a witness, that they didn't want a hostile witness who was not going to be quite so cooperative. Because what could be better for convincing a jury than to try and get Jen emotional on stand? Probably wouldn't happen, but, I think that was my thought. They were trying to just keep her on side and then they were going to whack her with charges after the trial. But he gets locked away and we're still waiting. Nearly 12 months. Yeah, I have so much catching up to do still. I have updates with Sally Contarino. I also have, I've gone through all the legal stuff with little Layla over here in Donald. They had a town meeting, or they're having a town meeting. And part of me was like so keen to hop in the car and head over there for the town meeting, but that would involve driving at night on country highways, and I just don't trust the roos. I really don't want to take the risk of having a roo run into my car just for the sake of something that will hopefully be reported in the media. But I'm so far behind with catching up on cases. Little Leo Escalante, I've completely lost track of where things are with that. So many cases that I've been following, and I'm just so far behind trying to find the time to sit down and just do a quick search for each case and find out what the updates are. It's hard to keep up. It really is. Which is the other reason why I haven't looked at that Siders case, but I cannot look at that Siders case. Popping candy. That was one of my favourites. Used to love just getting bags of popping candy when I was little. I love the Cadbury's chocolate that's got the popping candy in it. It's nowhere near as good, but it's still kind of partway there. I haven't caught that case. Dollar store has popping candy. Oh, how cool. Oh, you think James's case is coming up soon? I've lost track. I've got no idea where David's at either. Like, this is a baby Leo for anyone who's wondering what I'm talking about. And we've got Sarah Grace Patrick coming up on the 3rd of August. At least I know the dates with that because I follow her aunt's best friend on social media, and Kelly's always posting stuff, keeping us up to date. So many things I've lost track of where things are at with Barry Morphew. I think a date was set for him, but I've forgotten. I made notes. But I think a date is set with that. Even the Australian cases that I've been following, I'm not up to date with. James case, James Vanderleest. This is Leo Escalante. This was a little 2-year-old boy, and his mother had an order. Basically, she wasn't even meant to be anywhere near James. And yeah, Leo's mother wasn't even meant to be anywhere near James because there was a court order for her protection. So what does she do? She actually, it sounds like she was quite possibly living with him again, decides she needs to get her nails done, and leaves little Leo in his care. And something happened with Leo that was clearly quite violent, because they have described his injuries as catastrophic. Now, because James wasn't meant to be anywhere near Leo's mother, he called his father David. And David called it in and said he was minding the baby and the baby fell down the stairs. And then they did a runner and hid out in a cabin little ways away. So they're both up on charges over Leo's death. It's taken a while getting there. But horrible, horrible case. Yeah. They said that the injuries were nowhere near consistent with a child falling down the stairs. It sounds like they were really bad injuries. Really bad injuries. Poor little baby. Welcome in, Belinda. Good to see you here. Oh my gosh. Is that on your TikTok? I have to see that. Oh, that would be so funny. Was she like really, really little? I love when little kids try stuff like that and just seeing their reaction for the first time. Yeah, the autopsy with little Leo does not support their claims in the least, doesn't come close. We're having a bit of, this is what Bonza and I have labelled it a Squirrel Sunday, but I know that people that aren't in Australia, it's not Sunday yet, but basically we're just talking about whatever comes up. I have got videos of Daniel's interviews to bring up if we get to it, but if we don't, we're just chatting about stuff. Oh, wow, I've got to see that. How gorgeous. Because Lily's such a beautiful little thing, just so cute. So cute. Like, sherbet fountains are the best. We call them sherbet fountains here. What sponsor called them? Oh no, sherbet bombs are a different thing. Sherbet bombs are the ones in the little wrappers with the sherbet in the middle of the candy. The sherbet fountains are the ones with the licorice. There's a lolly shop that we used to go to, like, maybe every school holidays. It was about a 20-minute drive from home, and we'd go out to Richmond for the day, and we'd go and feed the ducks and get stuff from the bakery and stuff like that. And we'd always go to the lolly shop, and my sister and I would always get sherbet bombs. Always my favourite. Bumblebee tuna? I have no idea what that is. Yeah, so this video of Lily, is it on your TikTok, Belinda? Because I will certainly be looking for it. I'd love to see it. Just looking if we've got any other. I love, yeah, I probably won't go down that road. Let's just, while there's a bit of a pause. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was paying attention, BTTV. If you could send it to me, that would be lovely. I would love to see that now. It sounds so great. The funny thing is, Taka has a reaction to ducks. For some reason, she loses the plot when she sees ducks. Taka's my big dog. She's the calmest, sweetest dog in the world. But if I go anywhere, Oh, okay. This is the case I saw. Missing 11-year-old neurodivergent and non-verbal child, Calgary. Still missing then? Okay. I'm going to see if I can find something on that. So what I'm going to do is put on one of my little videos and see if I can actually find something about that, because I was looking at that. And this is something that is I was looking at last night when I was lying in bed, and I meant to look it up again this morning. Yeah, Charlotte, gotcha. Hang on, I'll write a note now because I'm not good at navigating. I've got a different screen up on my iPad at the moment, and I've got to try and work around that. But he's called Parker. Oh. Yeah, I want chocolate too. I've actually got some chocolate in the cupboard at the moment. Yeah, I don't like Dutch licorice. My brother loves it. Him and his band, his old band, lived in Europe for a few years and toured for a few years. And he got hooked on Dutch licorice. Anytime out he gets it, I get some and put it away for him for Christmas. Okay, what I'm going to do is put one of these things up, because I'm really not that skilled at finding things while I'm like on screen. So if I let's go this one. We haven't had this for a while.
I had a glass of wine and poured another. Told the bad boy come right over. Left both doors open wide. He said you best be armed, I'm coming inside. I grabbed my QQ and some Merlot. Called my husband, said here we go. Message detectives on my phone. The bad guys coming, I'm not alone. They're chasing me down the road, doing 140 in my Mercedes load. Call 911, but they're too slow. Gotta reach the cops before they know. 6 police cars on my face. Ski mask dude in a Honda Chase. I'll race them all with my V8 while calling Ralph. Don't make me wait. He said slow down. I said no way. These hillbillies want me today. Pulled up to the station gate. The cops just stared and made me wait. They're chasing me down the road, doing 140 in my Mercedes load. Called 911, but they're so slow. Gotta reach the cops before they know. Met detectives at Tim Hortons, played the tape of all his warnings. Mad Dog said you did just right, while 9 more crates come out at night. Husband told him I'm not crazy, sent the cops home being lazy. Tomorrow getting faster wheels for when more villains chase my steel. They're chasing me down the road, doing 140 Mercedes load. Called 911, but they're too slow. Gotta reach the cops before they know.
I will I've got it looks like there's a press conference that I've pulled up. When I get to your desk, you can be boots on ground. Yeah, because after this live, what I'll do is I'll grab myself some lunch and I'll either do a video or do a very, very late live to cover it. So I'll see what I can find after the live stream. But it certainly needs attention. I was dancing. I always jiggle away to these. Okay, so now let me see. Let me get this right. Hold your breath, because I kind of still learning. Oh, hang on. Right, hang on. I need to do it in a Chrome tab, because if I... Okay, bear with me if I lose you. Because I need to actually open it in Chrome. Otherwise, I don't... now I've got to find where I was at, which... bear with me, sorry. I forgot that I'm completely off screen right now. Can you still hear me? Because right now I'm just going through the ads, and I'll pause that. I'll unmute that. Okay. Here's a test. Let's see if I can do this and get it right. Hold your breath. Right, present. Share screen. Chrome tab. Okay, cross your fingers. Now, if I press play, I can't see you guys.
Patrol officers, specialized units, civilian staff, and hundreds of Calgary Police Service members who have worked tirelessly around the clock. There is nothing more important to us than finding Parker. We are pulling out all the stops and using every available resource in our efforts to locate him. I also want to thank our many partners who have come together in support of this effort, including Alberta Search and Rescue, local search and rescue teams, community organizers, and the many agencies that have offered resources, expertise, assistance throughout this investigation. Most importantly, I want to thank the members of the public. The response from Calgarians has been extraordinary. From sharing information and reviewing video footage to checking properties, assisting search teams, the community support has been invaluable. I'd also like to take a moment to speak about the Alberta Emergency Alert that was issued today as part of our ongoing efforts to locate Parker. First and foremost, we want to thank the government of Alberta for its support in this investigation for an exemption that allows us to use the emergency alert system in this unique circumstances. While this was not a true Amber Alert, Parker is a vulnerable autistic child, and we are deeply concerned for his well-being given the length of time he has been missing and his specific vulnerabilities. The government of Alberta recognized the urgency of this situation and worked with us to make this alert possible. We are grateful for the partnerships and the commitment shown to helping bring Parker home safely. This alert allowed us to quickly reach Calgarians with critical information and generate additional awareness as search and investigative efforts continue. It has asked residents in Calgary, particularly in the communities of Cambrian Heights, Thorncliffe, North Haven, Highwood Park, check their properties for any sign of Parker. We know Albertans care deeply about the safety of children. And we are hopeful that expanding the awareness through the Alberta emergency system will generate new information that may help us locate him. Again, we want to sincerely thank the government of Alberta for the support and cooperation. Our thoughts remain with Parker's family, who continue to face this incredibly difficult and uncertain time. Every resource, every partnership, every additional set of eyes help as we continue our efforts to find Parker and bring him home safely. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Acting Staff Sergeant Scott Gunnarsson for an update on the search and the investigation.
Thank you, Staff Sergeant. My name is Staff Sergeant Scott Gunnarsson, and thank you all for being here. We continue to ask for the public's help in finding Parker. That means that we're asking the entire city, not just the communities that are close by Thorncliffe, but the entire community to check their yards, check their garages, check their sheds, check their RVs, check their hot tubs, anywhere that someone of his size could fit. We're asking people to check that. Again, Parker is 11 years old, he is autistic, and he functions at a 3-year-old level, which is, of course, why one of the reasons why we are so concerned and why we have put forward such an exhaustive search. Today, we released a picture from closed circuit television of Parker's last location. That came from the 5,000 block of Travis Crescent Northwest. It is our hope that this picture will allow the public to see Parker as he was last known to us, with the clothing that we believe he was wearing. So we're asking the public to look at that picture, share that picture with their friends, their family, their neighbors.
Show us the picture.
The more eyes we get on that picture, the more likely we are to be successful. We've dedicated a significant amount of resources to finding Parker. We've been working as investigators around the clock since his disappearance came to our attention. We've had at least 30 tips from the public that we are dealing with. Our CCTV review people have gone over at least 50 hours of surveillance footage from the general area and can continue to work with that. And we've had at least 200 members from the police service assist.
Is it my audio doing that or their audio? They're really not giving us a lot of information on that side of it. There's got to be something better. I can't open my emails or anything, so let's have a look at images for starters. Okay, I've just found global news, so I'll just bring this up. Bear with me. I'm just fiddling around in the background here. Oh, huge. Okay, I'm going to change the screen. So I'll stop sharing that one because they're really not giving us anything there. In StreamYard, the links aren't showing us ones that I can click on, which is kind of frustrating. So let me try that again. Let's see if I can get this right a second time round. I think this is, no. Okay, I think I've got the one. Bear with me. Oh, go away, global news. Okay, let me see. I've got that. Yay. Okay, let me press play.
It's a devastating circumstance that has left the neighbouring neighbourhoods of Cambrian Heights with their eyes peeled, and now police are asking all Calgarians to get involved. A massive search is underway to find 11-year-old Parker, last spotted more than 24 hours ago.
He's had plenty of time to move. So we were asking that the entire city of Calgary check their yards, check their sheds, check their garages, check their hot tubs, check their pools, check their open vehicles, their RVs, any place where a child may go. We're asking everyone in the city of Calgary to check that.
Parker was last seen on Thursday at his day home in the 0 to 100 block of Connaught Drive, Northwest, between 11:08 a.m. and 11:41 a.m. Articles of clothing believing to belong to Parker was found around noon nearby. Police worked through the night side by side with trained search and rescue volunteers in an effort to find him. Until now, the efforts of more than 200 police officers and 70 volunteers are focusing on a number of communities, including Cambrian Heights, Thorncliffe, North Haven Upper, Highwood, Highland Park, Nose Hill Park and Greenview. But police say it's now time to expand that area.
And given the amount of time he's been missing, I will confirm that he is autistic and functions between a 2 and 3-year-old level, which is why we are expanding our efforts to find him and why we see this as such an important endeavor.
CPS say they are continuing to ask for the public's help in locating Parker, with the hopes of bringing him home safe and well.
And I thought a good place to look would be the school area. And I walked around the school, Cambrian Heights, just down here, and looking under the bushes and stuff. But unfortunately, I didn't see him. So, I mean, hopefully we'll find him real soon.
I've just met with Parker's parents, and they are incredibly distraught. They are going through an unspeakable amount of emotional turmoil right now, and we want to help them the best that we can. So again, I'd like to thank the community of Calgary for the assistance they've rendered thus far, and I'd like to thank them in the future for any assistance they render in the future.
The search for 11-year-old Parker will continue until he is found. Police are asking anybody with video or information to contact them immediately. Bella Finn, Global News.
Okay, I've got another. I'll stop sharing that one. Bear with me. Whoa, whoa. What the heck? Okay, got myself all discombobulated then. I'll have to go in and edit that out later because that's probably going to get me a copyright claim. I should have closed that tab because it just went onto a new video. Oh, so you probably didn't get the audio in the background. Did you get the audio in the background that came up? That nearly deafened me because I had stopped sharing that tab. So it's possible that you might not have heard the audio. There was the tab that I was watching, that we were watching. Oh, okay. After I stopped sharing the screen, I didn't close the tab, and really, really, really loud music started blaring in my ear. And I was having a panic attack because I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get a copyright strike. So I was trying to figure out where the music was coming from. I was trying to find the music. Not a drop bear or a huntsman, but it certainly got me going. And then I was trying to figure out which tab it was in because I've basically got all these open in tabs on Google Chrome, so I can just go from one tab to the next. Scared the bejesus out of me. And I thought it was deafening you guys. I've got another one which looks like it has the footage. So let me try this one, I think. And I will unmute it and press play.
We've had at least 30 tips from the public that we are dealing with. Our CCTV review people have gone over at least 50 hours of surveillance footage from the general area and continue to work with that. And we've had at least 200 members from the police service assisting in the investigation. We are not going to stop until we find Parker. We released a picture from closed circuit television of Parker's last location. That came from the 5,000 block of Travis Crescent Northwest. It is our hope that this picture will allow the public to see Parker as he was last known to us, with the clothing that we believe he was wearing. So we're asking the public to look at that picture, share that picture with their friends, their family, their neighbors. The more eyes we get on that picture, the more likely we are to be successful. We're asking the...
Didn't it share the audio? Was there no audio on that one? Or can you put a 1 if I had the audio with that? I might have to reshare. It says that it's got audio. You were getting the audio? Okay, hang on. I'll go back and I'll press play again.
Entire city, not just the communities that are close by Thorncliffe, but the entire community to check their yards, check their garages, check their sheds, check their RVs, check their hot tubs, anywhere that someone of his size could fit. We're asking people to check that. And again, just as a reminder, when Parker is found, he is likely to be frightened. He's likely to be scared. So we need to be as gentle as possible if he is seen. So if a member of the public does see him, we're asking them that they call 911 right away. If they are certain that it is him, so that we can deal with him as safely as possible.
Oh, wow.
Excuse me, sir. How old were you when you made your first million?
What is this for?
We're trying to get
Lot of
advice.
ads. Close that tab this time around. I think oh, cool. I actually stopped sharing. So, do we know if he's known to wander? Or is this... It sounds really alarming. It sounds like he's not going to come out for searches. It sounds like another Darius situation, but at least in this case, it's in a residential area. But it certainly means that he's hugely, hugely at risk. Definitely concerning. So, seems like he's definitely wandered off. It's not a situation where we're looking at the family. I will look into this while I'm eating lunch. Yeah, that was interesting. He was walking at a really good clip in that picture, wasn't he? He was covering a lot of ground very quickly. So presumably that's like a care home, like not his regular home that he goes home to overnight, or but the biggest concern for me is if someone has picked him up. I mean, if he's not good with strangers, hopefully he's just bunkered down somewhere. Because I think about little Michael Vaughan. That was a crime of opportunity. His parents must be beside themselves. Now, if it's a day home, then it must be equipped for children like him who might potentially do runners. So he must have been really quick to slip out. you know, 11-year-old, he probably found some way of figured it out. Yeah. And, you know, for all we know, he could have been headed somewhere and got bullied by kids along the way, or that's my concern. You have, I don't know if it's like, if they're calling it a day home, that's, to me, suggests that there's probably a number of children there. Maybe like a, I'm not sure, because we don't have that sort of thing here in Australia. We have, you know, disability support workers will work with a handful of people through the day and take them places. But just to me, when I hear it's a day home, I would expect the security to be really good, especially if you've got a non-verbal autistic child. Did he leave the home because he was upset about something? Does he know how to get anywhere from that location? That's the thing. I mean, even now, a lot of schools now have doorways through to, you know, the teaching area, you know, where the kids are. If you go through the office area in a lot of schools now, they have security pads where you've got to put in a code to go through. You would really expect that if it was a day home, that there would be something like that in place so that he couldn't just walk out. And the thing is, when you're looking at a child who is non-verbal autistic, something could have triggered him off. Something could have stressed him out, because so many things can stress out a child who's got autism. And if it's something that has like really stressed him out to the point where he's done a runner, which is what it looks like, and it's not an area that he's familiar with, he could be anywhere hiding out. Yeah, well, so I'm aware of the ones where they've aged out of the school system. That's what we have here in Australia. He seems to have, when you look at that photo, let's see if I can bring up his photo again. Let me see, I'll just scroll up images. Bear with me. Bring that up, and stupid ads. Hate ads. Okay, now let me try and share that screen. So when we look at this, he's got those noise cancelling headphones on. So I would say definitely auditory issues, which means that he's probably highly sensitive to a lot of things. Highly sensitive probably to a lot of things. So It wouldn't take much to trigger a child with sensory issues to the point where they've just got to get out of there. And it clearly seems that, thank you, Parker experiences the world in his own way. He may not respond when his name is called. He can become frightened when approached by people he does not know, the family said. Yep. This is, yeah, he's got the, when we look at this picture, this child's got major sensory issues. Even just, you can see he's stimming. There's a lot of just the body language, the body movement there. He's obviously got the auditory thing that is a stress out, but you can see he's also stimming there. He's doing stuff with his hands. He's tilting. I think something has triggered him. Something has upset him. And he's done a runner. Oh, poor little man's probably hiding away somewhere, terrified, just stressing out. Did they say what the clothing was that was found? Let me see if I can... structure and routine, when you have a child that is high level ASD like this, structure and routine is so important that they're basically going to really, really struggle if you screw with their structure and routine. So this is like meltdown material for this little boy. For a child that is this level ASD, this is the sort of stuff that is going to really trigger a meltdown response in him. So they found grey shorts and black runners. Oh dear. So it could be something as simple as that there was a new worker there that he'd never met. Oh, thank you, Fred. That's very generous. Congratulations to the people that got the memberships. Police know the boy likes water, and part of their search has been to check whether he's near bodies of water. Oh. Wow. This definitely a concern when you're talking about this level ASD, this level autism. I mean, the only positive, if you could call it a positive, is that I would imagine he's hunkered down somewhere. The thing is going to be, he's not going to come out for them. They're going to have to find a way to locate him and not stress him out, and then go from there. Obviously, they've got their strategies. And you know, from when we've looked at a lot of the search and rescue stuff, that they have all these things in place in terms of what they know when they're searching for children with high needs. Oh gosh. Yeah. I'm going to have to look at maps of the area, and hopefully there's not any big waterways or anything around, because this is causing a lot of concern for me right now. Thorncliffe area. Oh, good. They did that with Darius as well, didn't they? Playing his music. I wonder if he has an affinity with dogs and stuff too. I think it comes down to individual tastes. So I'm glad that they know what his type of music is. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so gorgeous. He loves Disney music, especially Aladdin. So congratulations to the people who got memberships. Thanks for sharing that, Bonza, because I couldn't see. Wow, little man. I hope they find him. I hope he's safe. Yeah, I love Aladdin. It's one of my favorites. Well, that depends, because children with autism can have some serious sensory issues as well. So, maybe he doesn't like ice cream. Maybe he doesn't like the sound of the truck. Because the other thing is that there are sounds that will trigger them and cause them to stress out even more. I hope he's got his... I didn't see that that image. It didn't really... It was hard to see if he had his headphones on. That's my thoughts. I hope they're thinking about it in that way. Because, he may come out for a dog or a cat. Yeah, me too, Bonza. Was it it? That I'm sure it's something like a Stephen King thing where there's an ice cream truck, and that it takes me straight back to that. So they're using tracking dogs. And a lot of the time with those sort of tracking dogs, they're also trained as, trauma kind of dogs as well. So hopefully he likes dogs, because that could be one way of drawing him out. Yeah, clowns creep me out so much. That's for sure. Well, Mouse just did a flyby. Sounds like he needs me to take him out. So I'm going to just having a look at these. I don't think we even had the ice cream truck in our suburbs. I can remember my aunt's suburb where she used to live, you'd get the ice cream truck coming through. But I actually don't ever recall it coming through in our suburb. But then we were two doors down from the corner store, so that's what I would think. If they're referring to it as a day home, why is there no alarm? Why is there no pin pad? Yeah. Okay, I'm going to go grab myself some lunch, and then I'm either going to jump on and do a live if I can find a bunch of clips, or I'll do a video, because I want to really wrap my head around this. Calgary Police told public they may see search teams, including an air support unit, mounted patrol team, mounted bike unit, canine unit, and ground search teams in the area. Air support unit, is that drones? Hopefully they've got drones, quiet drones up. Thank you very much, Summer Breeze, very much appreciated. Yeah, well, that's the thing. That's why I was saying I hope it's drones, because helicopters, just the noise could be triggering. Oh, they're using drones. Cool. Because they can get the drones up without them being too loud and too scary. But if they had a chopper up, they're not going to see him because he'll go to ground. Because that sort of level noise, this is a kid with auditory issues. If they've got helicopters over the area, they need to ground them, basically. Because they won't spot him. Because he won't be out in the open if there's any helicopters anywhere. That sort of noise would be far too triggering. Far too triggering. Anyway, I will come back to this after I've had a bit of lunch and taken the dogs out. So video or live stream, I'll play it by ear. It depends on what I can find, etc. So thanks for coming in, people. Remember to hit the like button on the way out. It helps me out a lot. And yes, I will come straight back to this and get some information out as soon as I can. Thank you for sharing this with me, and I'll catch you all in the next one.